Oh, there it is. Now the recording is
yeah.
going.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay. Anyway, we're here today. I thought what we'd do is examine form, movement, emptiness. Okay. Not necessarily in that order. Okay. Now, most things start with a form. Okay, I see a technique. I mean, we're talking Aikido practice, but a lot of things. And that form, oftentimes we're learning it, we go to a variety of different levels of being able to accomplish the purpose of the form. Okay. And then, there's moving in that form. In Aikido, that movement includes another person. So movement and movement with. And then the last one is emptiness. Okay. So how would all of those kind of fit in? So this I'm learning a foreign language. I have a dictionary. I hear words, and maybe I'm in that nation. Like when I went to Japan, you carried a dictionary with you. If somebody said something, you go, oh, you look it up and you nod. And they say, yeah, that's what we meant, Okay. And then, in your spare time, you study the structure of the language, get a Japanese language book. And we did all that there. Then there's the ability to have a conversation. So you can hear something, you respond to it. As you start to get it, you can sort of have a conversation with yourself. You create dialogues off of what you're studying, both words and the structure of the language. So, in Aikido, we do have forms, person to person. It's not a grappling form. It's movement with a partner. Partner attacks, we blend. We trade roles. Okay. And then the last one, emptiness. One way of looking at emptiness is that, I'm thinking, I'm trying to do it better. There's an emptiness through which things flow. And so, the sense of Aikido where there's the activity of learning and training that leads to a degree of emptiness. Okay? And different people, it's not just an Aikido, a great jazz player, Charlie Parker. He's somewhere in New York, and he's playing a jazz standard, Cherokee. And all of a sudden, right in that set, he realizes he can start on any note and resolve any passage within a bar or a series of bars. That's just something that came to him like that. Dong! Wow. Okay? And his description of that state, oh, I was flying. The magician. Now, he wasn't Superman, but all of a sudden, for a jazz player to go, oh, anything, do anything. Freedom, flight, kind of an emptiness. Okay? All right, so anyway, okay. Yeah. So well, we pick this up. Now I just did a move. I do another move, move, counter move, move, second motion, move, counter move, counter move, counter move, counter move. Okay, now counter move in basketball, I'm going to go this way. The defender cuts, so I do a counter move. All right, now I go this way. The defender goes this way. I pause, and then it's a counter move to the movement of somebody. Okay, so basketball is a sport, you know, a defender, somebody on the other team trying to continue, okay, and you're trying to move freely to create situations for yourself and your teammates, okay? So we're a movement like that or a movement like that. It's not a counter move, but movement. This motion goes to its partner motion. This motion goes to its partner motion. This motion goes to a partner motion. So you can start to kind of see the movements that way. Now, what do I do? Well, so we may start out with a form. Okay. So here, for example, we have a 30 movement form. Right hand, left hand, movement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's both up and down. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so that's a set of moves. Okay, now usually the set of movements has kind of a purpose, like for example, that motion is a thrusting motion. Okay, Aikido, we have entering. There's an incoming partner play acting as an attacker. Now, the thrust itself is bare minimum, minimalist, okay? This is oftentimes this way. But the incoming is coming at you, and oftentimes that's easy to read. So you nice, easy ground, feet in a triangle, point base. And the thrust itself, see, I'm creating space for the incoming and delivering the thrust. Okay. Now, if you watch that, we go this way, incoming comes this way, both die. Okay. Here, and this is done not so much to take life, but to point out an opening or escape for the attacker. You play acting, attacking, you see that? But the response to that. So, you know, that's kind of in the first section, 10 movements, 10 movements, 10 movements. But there's also movements, for example. So I'm off the line of an incoming. This is a harder one because the hands cross, but I'm off the line of an incoming. And I'm turning to get off the line You're powering the actual motion from your hips. Okay? So we have a lot right there, okay, in the first, what you'll call 10 movements. In fact, we actually start movement number 1. 2, these are more what I would call the Sogi movements. 3, 4. Okay? And Ueshiba Sensei used to do movements like that with the staff. And he would say things like, that's to position ourselves on the floating bridge of heaven. Okay? Now, what exactly that means is a great mystery that at least a lot of the senior Aikidoers, myself, Mado Sensei, he's much more senior than I am, Robert Fraser Sensei, we're trying to solve. So quick, personal interpretation. This is movement number 1. But before that, sometimes I call it like pure being. And what is it? It just is, okay? Movement number 1 starts with consciousness. In other words, consciousness, I'm conscious up here, but no, there's a body here as well. So this exists. I'm relational to my surroundings and to myself. That's movement number 1. But just before you do anything, there's the original beingness. Or Sensei might say it's the universe, the origin of the universe. Okay, I'm putting words in his mouth. I don't know that he would agree. Okay. And maybe it was a bit to us chaotic, but since it was the only thing, you couldn't call it chaos. Just was. But at some point, it was going to create a universe and us in the universe. Beingness goes to consciousness. And upward movement is right, coming back on itself. It's an upward counterclockwise spiral. A mind, universal mind. Leftward down, body. Okay. Design of the universe. Matter and energy's movement through that design. And then, boom, coming together. Sensei's fancy name for this, I think more than many, is heaven. And not quite so fancy, earth. Boom. And you're standing between heaven and earth on what you call that mythical golden bridge. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we start out with a left foot step. I'm changing my angle. Point for a forward foot base, rear foot, and the grip. From the top. This is the rifle grip, semi-rifle grip. This is from the top. I can't bounce this around here because it creates noise and neighbors complain. But you bounce it this way, don't you? Okay. Boom. And it rebounds off the floor. Boom, boom. If you go like this, that's called carrying the ball. and you lose the ball. The referee says you carry the ball. Okay, so it's a little bit light. Dribbling a basketball. Light, easy. Easy is not sloppy. Don't be tense. So just the actual proper grip from the top, palm down, fingers from the little finger. I'm already too tense. Easy. And hips rotate. In other words, the body's already in that, creating the off the line position. Arms fully extend. And at the very end, we add a double spiral. This is done like you're wringing out a towel, but easy. And if you watch, that's straight. When the hips rotate, you're thrusting in a spiral. Okay. So going back, movement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cover the head and the face. If you're covering the body, you could drop that. Okay. But I'm going around shoulder level with the tip. And down. Okay. Up and down. Up and down. Off of the thrust. Up and down. Rethrust. Okay. So movement number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is both up and down. 8, boom, rethrust. That's repeat of 6. 9, right hand up, left hand down, right foot up, left foot back. This is a striking, cutting motion. If this was a staff, that's a strike. If this is a spear can pierce, but it can also cut. And we're off the line, and we're off the line. Now, real rapid incoming, you move the feet. But see, if I move the feet, strictly speaking, I'm trackable. If I need to move, see, the hips rotate first. You create that so you can do that. And likewise, you know, there's a truck. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get off into the sidewalk. But I'm going to move to the sidewalk. That's rotate the hip, boom. The feet move off the movement of the hips. Okay? So just in those first 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up and down for 7. 8. Repeat 6. Right hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. Movement number 9. Movement 10. Boom. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, so, you know, basic beginning form, about as basic as you can get. Cliff, any questions come up for you on movements 1 through 10?
No, nothing specific. I'm just kind of polishing right now.
Yeah. Okay. See, what happens is that if it's a staff, that's a striking motion. That's a striking motion. If it's a spear, this is a piercing motion. This is a cutting motion. It's a little different. Okay, so I kind of, when I do this, my intention thought is that this is, even as it's a staff, it's a spear. That's just my quote unquote intention. Kikizuchi sensei used to say, if you understood the secret of Aikido, a staff becomes a spear. A bokken, a wooden simulation of a sword, becomes a sword. So you're not striking or striking, you're piercing and cutting. Most times, for example, if you have a sense, where you pick up something sharp and then you hit something with it, it bounces right off. The actual art of cutting, or conversely, piercing. Too much force in the move. Okay, so that's your first 10. And the first 10 basically done with thumbs facing away from you. And the next set, thumbs face, there's a second change. This is the first one, second. Third, thumbs face you. Fourth, same hand position. It's just the feeling is more weight through the body. And the fifth goes into this, but the fifth is this one. Okay, it's used for weapons taking, a sword. And it's called Gokyo, Ikkyo 1, Nikkyo 2, Sankyo 3, Yonkyo 4, Gokyo. Gokyo is where you meet it, not so much with a grab, you meet it with a, then reposition you so you can execute. Okay, so that's in the second set of 3 of 10. Okay. So, for example, we go movement number 10. Now, left hand goes up here, thumbs face, that's 11. You turn, no step, just a turn, and you're covering head and face. Okay, so this is 10, this is 11. Thrust, same thrust, except thrust is with the hands in this position. You always thrust in a spiral, which means if there's an incoming, it gets you off the line. If you need to get really off the line, but you move the hips first, boom, for that. And so it gets you off the line, but also the hips turning, boom, it's power in that. Okay, so okay, movement number 20. And so the second set of 10 introduces, this was the first set, second, change, third change, fourth change. Fourth change is a little bit more, the ringing of the towel a little bit more. And the fifth change, okay? So for movement number 10, 11, 12, 13, we grip here. This is now, even though it's movement 14, this is the third change. 15, back, second change, 16 step turn, 17, wow. Back to second change, 18, 19, and 20. Okay. And in motion, it looks like that. And like that. Okay. That's second set of 10. Okay. Cliff, any questions or anything on that second set of 10?
Just that it was very helpful to me to see the sideways view, which we normally don't
Yeah.
do in Zoom, right?
Okay.
It's easier if we're in person because then
Okay.
it's three-dimensional space. But that was useful, and I'm trying to just sort of fine tune where I am, where the staff is at any given time during the sequence. So,
Well, for example, Hikizuchi Sensei, when he taught the staff or the sphere, okay, he always stood facing away from you. Well, actually, no, he stood facing you. And one time he demonstrated it facing away, which means you could follow it because, because you're really, when somebody's facing you teaching, you see a right hand, but it's on that side, right? And one time he said, okay, I'll do this just once. And he turned around so we could watch him go the other way. Other than that, it was always he was facing us, which made it harder. Okay. So, part of that is just old style. Okay. And, he was invested in not just, if you were going to get something out of it, you had to go that little extra step. So, yeah, the sideways view, viewing that is crucial. Okay. So, for example, we went a little further generally. Okay. If I were, for example, to start out this way, okay, that's movements 11 through 20. And again, first change, second change, third change, fourth change, fifth change. Okay, now I just did a movement. Okay, now the last 10 goes into what I call the fire water changes. Okay, from the top, change, fire. From the bottom, water, fire, water, fire, water, fire, water. And it also goes into what I call the easy figure eight. Harder figure eight is two-handed, right? Two-handed figure eight. Right? So those are part of the last 10. Last 10 is supposed to give you some tools to go into what I call more of the takemusu level, where you're movements free up. It's like a jazz player. There's a chord structure. You're not just playing random notes, but you're creating within the structure of the chords. Okay? So, for example, movement number 20, 21, second change position, 22. That's the Gokyo position. Second you grab it, it goes back to 1. But here we go. Right side, left side, forward, and up. That's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not one movement or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So 21, 22, Gokyo. 23, 24, step back. Slide the left up, right down, right foot back. Twenty-one, 22, 23, 24, 25. And you notice how I hold not in the middle, I hold towards the end. This is the long end. And long end always represents the sharp, piercing, cutting part of the sphere. If I'm in the middle and doing all these changes, I lose it. Okay. 25, release your right hand. Long end goes down. Thumb down from the top. And step back. Twenty-one, 22, 23, 24, 25. Step back as a part of 25. 26, left hand up, right hand down, turn cover. 27, that tip is going to go 360. And I grab thumbs facing away, the right hand, both hands, let go. 27, that starts it. For 27, sweep, full circle, step, turn, strike. That's movement 28. Okay? 27 is this. 28 starts when you grip with the right hand. See where that tip is? Goes full 360. Step, turn, boom. 28. 29. Rotate the hip. See, what I'm going to do is go this way. I'm going to create space for that. Left hand, right hand, left hand. Movement 30. Okay? Now, any questions on that last set of 10?
Again, I'm pretty much just trying to fine tune, so I don't have any specific questions on. It's helpful that you're showing it from different angles. That's great, and you know, discussing the finer points of the point and the blunt end and things like that. Yeah. So I guess the biggest questions I have with the whole form are just the first 4 movements, right? Like just doing that. Like I know the movements, and I know that it's more misogi than practical, but it's, you know, what I should be focusing on and thinking about and what my hips are doing on those first 4 movements of the form. That's where I have the most questions.
Okay, yeah. Well, the first 4 movements, I mean, they're just kind of a copy of a lot of the movements you see O-sensei do. And basically nobody else does. Okay. So I included them in there. because nobody else does them. They're you know, beingness. Okay. I identify with who I am in terms of a local structure, position, family, hierarchy. Okay, so I am sort of within a personal level, a local identity, you know, an identity within some sort of organization, national identity. But being or beingness is still different. Beingness. What existed in the universe? All of a sudden, it kind of went this way, went through, and the universe kind of came out of that infinitely dense point. Space, time, matter, energy, all came out of that. There was an original design to it, an original mind, if you will, and matter and energy move according to that original design. The mind of the universe and the body of the universe. Boom. They have a unity or harmony together, and you can call it the universe. But in the process, the consciousness, there's also me as consciousness. And, you know, I'm not going to go back, you know, to the very beginning, but, you know, I can imagine, feel that a bit. You know. Movement one, beingness. Two, consciousness. Consciousness differentiating between the design or a mind and the body. And here I am in that, boom, I am, right? And, you know, later there's them, it's not there. And I'm positioning myself between, let's say, the universal mind and body, between heaven and earth. I got my mind, my body. Daiuchuto Itai, becoming one body with the universe. So does that make any sense? No?
Yeah, I mean, that gives me
Yeah.
something to focus on while I'm doing that part of the form.
Well, you've got to watch Ritual because, you know, in a sense, you know, I mean, I start playing basketball, you know, then I started watching basketball. And this was in the early 60s. Yeah. All right. NBC, 11 a.m. Saturday mornings, the NBA was on. And it is much different then. I mean, the league right now is predominantly African American, European, there's other cultures, South American. It's actually, from my viewpoint, it's really beautiful to watch now. But in those days, just predominantly white. And all these people about to shoot a free throw, they would go like this. And so, you know, I'm practicing free throws in my outdoor basketball court. And I'm going this way before I shoot, because that's what the pros, a lot of the pros did, okay? And so my mom comes up to me and says, son, we're not Catholic, we're Buddhists. I went, light went off. Oh, see, I was doing a ritual without any sense of it. Did it help me shoot? No, but I thought you were supposed to do that. Because, yeah, not everybody did it, but, you know. So, you know,
I understand. Yeah, that's
yeah. But, you know, the whole thing right here, this is, you know, there's almost like there's two movements here. And the hidden one, before you do this, what is beingness? Being, well, I am, right? I got a position and aim or whatever, but beingness. Very mystery. But all of a sudden, and of course, having a consciousness, there's mind, there's body. Einstein, for example, was very strict about the fact that he believed in God, but he said it was not the God of the Bible. It was what he called the empirical God of science. And the way he put it is, all I really want to do is to think God's thoughts. Because if I can do that, God created the universe, again, not the biblical God in Einstein. I'll understand the universe because I understand who or what created it. So, going from beingness to consciousness. Consciousness differentiated into a design. The universe has a design to it. Scientists are still studying it. And as a body called matter and energy. And then the goal is to boom. And in the process, to unite our own mind, our own body. Okay? Then the movement starts. So I kind of add that part because other than that, nobody does it. They generally start with an attack form. Okay? So occasionally, Zeus Sensei would teach, Ikkyo, and he would teach Nikkyo, and he would teach Sankyo. But occasionally, he would kind of start to do this. And then he'd add the sound, the chanting. And that was about it. So, you watched it, just like me. You do the chanting in the mornings. I just learned it because he did it. I started to do it because I kind of liked it, right? It's like a glove. Oh, it fits a bit, And so, I spent a lot of my life trying to refine or understand, a lot of the stuff that Sensei did that people edited out. Okay. Oh, that's just that crazy old man talking about gods and goddesses and standing in a place that doesn't really exist in the physical universe. If it doesn't exist in the physical universe, what does it exist? So then, a couple other things Einstein said. Imagination is more important than knowledge. And it's not exactly what he said. All I want to do is think God's thoughts. But I've been told, more important than what you think, because localized, me, we think about the same thoughts, cursing the weather and doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay? But it's the space between the thoughts. So if you're going to really understand God's thoughts, you have to understand the space between the thoughts. And one way of putting it that way, we are connected to the universe, therefore we are connected to God's thoughts. Then we start to get the spaces between. That's always sometimes bong, we do the bell. There's a silence, bong. There's a space between bong and bong. Yeah, okay, now what we're going to do, let's check. Oh, we're doing okay. Now, so we have those 30 movements. All right, now there's motion. There's motion. There's motion. Motion, 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 motion. There's motion, counter motion. Motion, counter motion, counter motion, motion. What am I going to do? I'm going to go into kind of an empty place, and there's movement. Clear, empty, movement. Movement, boom, boom, boom. Sensei talked about stillness, motion. Stillness, motion. So, as you learn the form, you're also to some degree starting to get a feel for what Einstein might have called, God's thinking, which includes the space between the thoughts. The other Einstein quote, I am now this is something I find the silence, the stillness that was so painful to me when I'm young. When I'm Einstein, I kind of revel in it. Imagination, space between the thoughts. Boom, boom. Stillness, emptiness, movement. Movement, 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 movement. Gets you busy. That goes to the stillness. That stillness, boom, gives birth to whatever it was before. Beingness to consciousness. Okay? Try it a little bit on your own. Just saying, just respectfully kind of mess around. Einstein respectfully messed around with Newton. Okay. Cliff, anything you feel like adding?
Yeah, so to do the exercise, what I did was I actually went through the 30 movements quickly and then just kept going.
Okay.
Right?
Now, what happened when you kept going?
I found myself in a flow state that got faster and not loosey-goosey, but looser in the sense of not uptight, and then that a natural speed came with it. That's why it took me a second to get to the unmute button, because I was just like flowing, so that was really one of the things I like about and I don't know if this was an unconscious design feature, but one of the things I like about the 30 movements is that it seems to end kind of in the middle. It ends in this spot that is not an ending position, but like a setup for the next move. And so you can do that. You can go through the 30 movements and then, okay, here's 31, here's 32. Let's see what 33 is today. It's going to be different every day, but it allows for, it's like a platform, Like, you know,
Yeah,
you're
okay. Yeah.
getting up to speed and then you take off and you go into outer space and you see what's there, you know, each time.
Well, Newton was a platform for Einstein, was a platform for whoever solves the unified field theory. So Columbus found out the world was not flat. It's flat to us. I mean, that's local thinking is, of course, the world's flat. Okay. Broader, deeper experience, now the world's round. Localized thinking, we're the center of the universe. And deeper reality, now we exist as a planet that's orbiting the sun, which is the center of our solar system. And that's a part of a galaxy. And how many galaxies are there? So, okay. So, you know, there's a local, you know, if you just woke up on a bad day, you think the world's flat. That's it. Or don't travel too far or you'll fall off the edge of the earth. Well, that's very understandable. It keeps you kind of grounded within your local personal set. But one term that I like, and it's not quite the way that the physicists use it, is non-local. Okay, I'm local. This is what we do. This is what we do. State-wise, we're California. We're a blue state. Da, 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 da. We're in a country that's kind of messed up right now. Globally, the Queen of England died. She's been the queen through my whole life. So I'm going, oh my gosh. Okay. We're going through this hot weather right now, global warming. They warned us. Now it's here. It's 108 a couple of days ago. Boom. Easy. What if the universe was going on and the universe was non-local? There's always local, but on the other hand, right here, in a local setting, with an identity, an ego, whatever it is. Easy, open, settle. The universe is vast, but it's going on right here and right now. And it has its own accord or balance or harmony with itself at every juncture. Locally, globally, nationally, we're all going, personally, we're all going through a lot. But the quote that Einstein gave a version of it, but I believe the fuller version, I now bask in the silence that was so painful to me in my youth. There's this emptiness that allows me to appreciate the non-local nature of the universe. Act of moving, I'm moving my arm. There's an energy flow that's going on to infinity and it's coming back. Forces gather in the earth and the tree comes in. It's a little different. Somewhat of his imagination. Any movement, potentially, is a part of that universe for the accord it has to itself. In no sense, they said Aikido is becoming one with the universe. He or she who has the secret of Aikido can say, the universe is inside me and I am the universe. Well, pure beingness, becoming conscious, laying out its design of the universe, its mind, bringing in matter and energy, its body. And here we are, boom, within that. And all of that is localized in you. And then no sense they would do this a lot. It's not the thing I used to do when I used to shoot free throws, but it's kind of similar. It's the cross. Heaven and earth, but also water, fire. Positioning yourself within the vastness of maybe four, gravity, electromagnetism, force, strong force. So that's kind of taking the time to write about there. Any, does that, the first four movements, to some degree, if you kind of wonder about it, you're in the right place. But, there's a lot of dialogue around it. I can read books. Oh, yeah, I understand that. Or Sensei did this and da, da, da. But you have to sort of find your own truth with it. I don't understand what pure beingness is. It's just a term. What happens when that pure beingness becomes conscious? Well, at some point it differentiates between a mind and a body, a heaven and earth. Right? You can say heaven and earth, that's the design of the mind, and water and fire, or the design of matter and energy through that mind. Okay? And together they create movement. I'm thinking, doing, that's a stage, but we increasingly go into the space between our thoughts. So all of a sudden, move, boom, 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 boom. Well, Sensei, Shinto term, kannagara. Go with the flow of kami. Kami, go with the flow of kami. Kannagara tamachi haimase, kannagara tamachi haimase. So eventually, it depends on where you are with it and where you are with yourself and where you are with your sense of the universe. But, in a sense, the movements here, we're studying, they're kind of like the universal mind is like a blackboard. Our normal consciousness, graffiti. Act of misogi is to clear the graffiti out. And in that space, we fill in the algorithms, energy, matter, space, and time. And that translates here in terms of movement. Boom, boom. So that's about the best I can do today. Anything before we break? Anything?
Yeah, I really like thinking of pondering the space between thoughts, because I'm used to thinking of thought as either a continuous stream without gaps, like the stream of consciousness, or as a sequential series of thoughts without gaps. And the idea that there is space between thoughts, that's something I'm going to work with for a while, I think.
Well, even dreams, for example. Basically, we're flooded with this verbiage, the noisy mind, the I. As you kind of settle a bit, using the Do Sensei, Bobby becomes Robert. Robert is a little bit more present. Bobby just might be caught up in all these thoughts nonstop. But Robert, a bit more centered, a bit more grounded. Nado. And Nado Sensei, hopefully, So, basking in that silence between the thoughts. And again, that's where your imagination comes in. Okay. Anyway, we will be at Mountain View on Sunday And there is a party that's being organized for Harry Concepcion Sensei, who got promoted to 6th Dan. And I think it was March or so, we did a dinner, and a weapon, kind of a 3-section spear, was commissioned for him, and it finally arrived. And so it's going to be presented to him this Sunday. There's just off of 101, just a little south of Mountain View. Okay. There's kind of that thing where you go to the lake and there's a cafe, you go right through a golf course and everything like that. And we're gonna, I think after the Aikido class, which will be held, we'll be going there for lunch and also the presentation of the spear. Okay. So that's about it for today. Hope we covered some good, useful ground for people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Okay, let's go here. Recording. Stop recording. Stop.